I'm pretty sure every single person watching this video knows that CJ Stroud did not throw during OTAs. He threw a little bit during a warm-up at the beginning of the first practice, but other than that, in 7-on-7 drills, team drills, etc., 100% of you know that. Various people, not saying whether I did or not, freaked the hell out when they first heard that. And I know a lot of people thought initially you're an idiot if you're freaking out. I tend to worry about things. But as I settle into the second week of this reality, I've kind of just things have become clear to me, man. Things are just I took an ayahuasca trip and everything just came into place. Realistically, there's two huge scenarios. One, because D'Amico declined to comment on whether or not he had a procedure done when Will Kunkel, who was weirdly let go the other day from his station, but he's out there and he was asking the good questions. D'Amico declined to answer whether or not there was a procedure done. So two main scenarios. One, he didn't have surgery. Two, he had surgery. Let's explore if he didn't have surgery whatsoever. It's uncommon for a quarterback to have the same type of issues ramping up the way a pitcher might when he's going into a season. I've been trying to convince myself that, hey, this is no different than spring training or whatever, but it's something. It's notable. It's rare that you see a quarterback out there not throwing because of tightness in his shoulder unless there's an underlying issue. So if he didn't have surgery, it's either he's got some underlying issue that in something as simple as an OTA session where there's no threat of physical harm or anything else, that he declined to throw because of tightness in his shoulder. Still, in the long term, could be no big deal, but it could also happen during the season. And if it's a problem now, it could theoretically be a problem at some time in the future. And Clint Turner did a great job of laying this out on our show the other day. You know, quarterbacks, it's not nearly as stressful on your shoulder and your elbow as it is for a baseball player. And with CJ especially, he has such a nice throwing motion. He's not putting a lot of stress on it. So the concern there would be either it is just something like some tendonitis or something that can pop up and you can manage it. He'd play through it if it were an actual regular season game. All of that still might not be that big a deal. But the other dynamic might be, man, he's got a history of AC joint problems. If you don't know what your AC, when they talk about the AC joint, it's where your clavicle kind of slots in right here. There's your little nodule right there. And that there can be problems ongoing with that, whether it's loose bodies or something that could pop up and maybe be more extreme the next time. And there's procedures you can do to take care of that. If he has not had a surgery or procedure, then at least as we know this far, there's nothing other than just monitoring it that might prevent that in the future. The second situation, if he actually had surgery, that could fall into two scenarios. One, he had a little bit of a cleanup, just got Gremlins. Remember Bregman's Gremlins in the elbow? And hey, not the best thing for a third baseman. He got those Gremlins cleared up at some point, and now he's got a 900 whatever OPS up in Boston. Some different pitching coaches, but that's a topic for another day. Or hitting coaches. So the other part would be if he had a major surgery, and if we don't know about that, the chances for complications or him coming back from it, we just have no clue about it. I'm skeptical that it was a major surgery just because CJ, we've seen him shooting baskets at the very least during the playoffs with the Rockets, at that charity event in the middle of OTAs. I don't think if he had a major surgery and he was working his way back from it, he'd be messing with any kind of public display of physical prowess, although he did miss the free throw with the Rockets. But that leaves us with that sweet spot, that third scenario where, all right, maybe he had a minor procedure and he went out and he was thrown around a little bit and everything just felt a little bit tight. So they're going to be hyper vigilant and very, very careful about it at this moment. I really do. I hope that's what it is, because that's the one that makes the most sense, where it's a simple recovery. There's not any structural change or anything. And then he should be A+ good to go come training camp. All of those other things are in play. There's no reason to believe that's exactly what happened. And you might ask, as I have myself, well, why wouldn't they just disclose the injury? And there are a couple main reasons for that. One, if the organization itself just has a policy of, listen, we're at a time of the year where we don't have to disclose medical information. We're going to play things as close to the vest as possible, whether it makes sense or not, just because it just as a military doesn't just go around blabbing things that might not be that important anyway. So we'll just tell the enemy. You just keep everything close to the vest. Loose lips sink ships, and franchises by Nick Caserio's thinking. So it might be that. It also just might be that individually, CJ just doesn't want to talk about it right now. And he didn't come up to the podium at all during OTAs, which is kind of odd, but he's been up at the podium in the offseason once before. So I am still leaning, and I know I've freaked out about this at times, and it's not just to try to get clicks or something. I'm just a natural worrier when it comes to things like this. I lean right now towards it was either no procedure at all, but potentially something that could crop up again, or it was a genuinely minor procedure, and they're trying to be as careful about it as possible. Those 3 of the 4 possible scenarios are probably the most likely scenario. I think it's also, if he'd had a major surgery, somebody would have blabbed somewhere along the way. Not from the Texans or CJ's immediate camp, but somewhere along the way, I think somebody would have blabbed about it. Yeah, whatever it is, they're keeping it clamped down. The Texans are very good at not leaking things. Like, hey, are the Texans going to draft the quarterback? Cal McNair says that he didn't know, and I realized I was looking off to the side, not making eye contact with you, because I said I believe him. No, I genuinely believe Cal McNair when he said he didn't know whether the Texans are going to draft the quarterback or not. I think you got 2 guys in Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans that are, Caserio, I think, probably uses the media when he needs to, but generally does not play that game. And D'Amico genuinely just does not care. When it comes to head coaches, D'Amico does not play the games or play that game with the media, where there's some coaches that are really good at leaking information to certain reporters and everything. I know for a fact that D'Amico is not like that. I know there's some reporters that are really good at getting into coaches' inner circles or gaining their confidence, and D'Amico just doesn't play that game. So that is part of it. Yeah, I got the technical issues cleared up earlier. That grainy video is me on my iPhone hotspot for whatever the hell reason. I couldn't figure it out earlier. Let's see. Mic, camera check. Yes. Doing well this stream. Thank you. I'm almost at Gen Z level of competence. Maybe some cleanup in the shoulder, not unheard of. 100%. I think that's very, very possible, and it's something that we probably shouldn't worry about at this moment. But I also hold it in reserve that it could pop up into something. I don't want a Gremlins in the shoulder type of situation. Everybody, so many players have minor surgeries in the offseason that nobody ever hears about. Remember Brian Cushing the other day, I can't remember on which podcast it was, but he said he had 25 surgeries in his career, and some of them were reported. I think the vast majority of them weren't. This would be my other concern. I just hope that if it was something that could be cleaned up with minor surgery, that CJ did it, because we've just seen too many times guys just shy away from having the surgery, and we'll see how it works out. And then lo and behold, you find out in October, well, he could have had surgery way back when, but they wanted to see how it would feel. I think, did Carson Wentz go through that? Whoever it was, JJ Watt did. JJ Watt was a little bit different because it was a back surgery, and back surgery is notoriously dicey in terms of the outcome. So it's a major surgery, but depending on what the procedure is, it's really a coin flip as to whether you should have the surgery or not. But JJ ended up going on IR that season after declining to have surgery during the season. If it was a minor procedure, I'd guess that CJ just went ahead and took care of it. Let's see. Isn't it sometimes better when a controlled leak happens? Yes, it is. But I also think at this point, now listen, the Texans are pretty cool about like joking with us about it. When there's some big contentious issue or controversy that's not super, super serious, like some of the stuff we had back in the day, they'll kind of laugh with us about like, hey, we're giving you guys something to talk about, huh? And this is a non-essential thing from the team standpoint. I don't think it's probably causing a distraction on the team or anything. We haven't heard any players have any missteps about them being concerned about CJ or anything else like that. The relative radio silence in terms of, I know there's people prying to get information out of it, and they haven't gotten anything. I've settled down enough that I think this is likely no big deal. If there was a procedure, I'm guessing it wasn't anything major. If it was a major surgery, I don't think they wouldn't have even messed with him being out there at OTAs. And then the inquiries may have been more hardcore. The fact that he was tossing the ball around at the beginning of practice on at least one day makes me feel like this is either minor surgery or in something I would be more concerned about, some kind of a tendonitis or just ongoing AC joint problem, because we've seen that bother him both in college and in the NFL. And with the clavicle, it's weird. It's not as essential a joint as you might think, and there's things that it can do to whittle down the clavicle, and others that really are genuinely minor surgeries. But it's surgery nonetheless. Kasia says, I'm more afraid of the situation when his shoulder starts to act out at the worst moment. Yeah, that's why I feel like if it's gremlins in the shoulder, like Bregman had gremlins in the elbow, get rid of the gremlins, perform an exorcism, do whatever it has to, burn some incense around him while he's doing it. All of that stuff. Take care of it now aggressively for what is genuinely a minor surgery. Also, Kasia, thank you. I actually relayed in the earlier live stream, I said, I have a friend who's trying like hell to live his best life, but he's got some really toxic family members, but he's also very much devoted to his family. And I think it was Kasia that said she emigrated because of that. That is an option. I don't think that's an option for him, because I don't think he wants to leave the United States. So I'm going to go watch the Astros and hopefully watch a whole bunch of gremlin-free joints moving around like that. We're going to have to wait an extra. Lance McCullers. I'm not freaking out about Lance McCullers. They're just taking their time with him. Scheduled the pitch today, but they're going to give it tomorrow. They're going to give it an extra day, most likely. I'm cool with that, man. I'm Seth Payne. I don't freak out. Never have, never will. Don't